Good afternoon, friends. Today we have selected a topic which seems to divide our life into two parts. The first part where we are in action, and another part is when we are static. Can you imagine during this pandemic session how much stress you might have been feeling with the pressure coming out of getting fixed and confined within your limited area of living. All these aspects have greatly impacted on our life. And in most of the time, we want to be in action because such a type of the things which has got great impact on our understanding as well as on the way we think and way we act. Action and thoughts, they are the important aspects for our life. Whatever may be the problem, whatever may be the solution, but we are not confined to the solution or the problem, but we are only confined with what we think and what we understand about our life. And this is the consciousness of our life. And today we are going to discuss what happens when your mind gets fixed and where it got stuck. It is just like a prison, and greatest understanding coming from the humanity is to punish the prisoners, the criminals with the confinement in the prison house. The jail is the greatest, seems to be the greatest torturous place where one is fixed and confined within his cell. Friends, psychological fixation is an important topic which has been practiced and which has been understood in the medical science, into the area of the psychology. And in our repertory also, we are now observing many of the rubrics coming up. The new rubrics are being added on the basis of the psychology. So we have to get ready. We have to get ready to understand the rubrics, which is new definitions and new dimensions of study, because future repertory are going to be which are going to be based on the psychological understanding of the subject. Friends, let us see and let us start with the psychological fixation. One of the basic things. We all know that what is the fixation is the way to death, and fluidity is the way to life. When we are actions, how happy we are. When we are moving around, when we are traveling, when we are how fluently we speak and talk, and we are the company, it is the most natural gift of the life given to us by the God. And fixation, is like the being stabilized and fixed like a tree, which cannot move even it wants to go away. So we are separated from the animal kingdom and the plant kingdom with this basic aspect of fluidity. The animal kingdom, the people from where we belong to are the mobile persons, and the plant groups of the things are the static fixed type of the thing. So you just see the imaginations. You can imagine how a person will feel when he got stuck into the life and where he cannot move in and around. See, fixation and fluidity of energy is represented in life as a state of health and disease. Fixation at a point happens when we are thinking in mood, trying to find out some solution. See, when you are in a problem, when you have to solve the problem, what you do? You sit and think, and at that point of the time, that is the happiest point when you get the solution, and for that you work, and that fixation are taken as very important moments for the life, and you enjoy them. It is often represented as the concentration of the mind. The children, they don't have the concentration of the mind, but as they grow with the understanding, this concentration starts getting in. They are useful process which allow us to explore both inner and outer aspects of the life and universe. Fixation only refers to getting glued at a point from it is difficult to come out, however one wishes to do so. With some bad news, mind dwells on the same point. See, what happens? Something happened in your life, some accident is happened in your life, and now you are completely confined to that place and avoiding all other area of the essential area of your life. Psychological fixation do occur from the early stage of the learning. As soon as you start learning, we have to think, and for the thinking, you have to get fixed. With the swallowing stage of feeding, with milk, there is no need to think. So, when we are born and sucking the milk from our mother breast, and we don't have to think whether we have to chew or to get the taste. It will simply flow of the energy, flow of the fluid milk that enters into your stomach directly. But as soon as we get the taste of chewing, the first meal, mind gets fixed thinking about the taste, how it is, what is the taste, and how to chew. The child is get confined with the chewing process, on testing the things, what new things has come to my life. And this fixation may acquire when one is overpressed with chewing with pressure from outside. And now mother say, no, eat more or eat less. Now this is the pressure, and with this chewing habit get mixed up, and mind has to struggle maintaining for stable health of having harmony and fixation. Stucking at a point, get fixed with some dwelling nature so developed makes one to get stuck where it is difficult to come out. Now, awareness is the consciousness, but difficult to get rid of out of it. We know the problem, but we find ourselves fixed at the point. They may be aware of getting fixed at, yet it is not possible to come out when they become restless with feeling of uncomfortable. They are expressed as symptoms at both mind-body dimensions of the life. What happens? This fixation. You become restless, and body also confined with the rest becomes restless. So they go together, and they are reflected as the symptoms. The fixation symptoms are simply the unwell feeling, simply the changed feeling in your life. So some of the fixation example are the psychological fixations, oral fixations, anal fixations, belly fixations, vanity, orderliness, smoking, gum chewing, obsessiveness, exhibitism, pride, rigidity, and nail biting. I am giving you the examples of the oral fixations, anal fixations. All these are the aspect of the psychological fixation being understood by the psychologist. Coming to the fixation, we can say it is treacherous for life, which begins with the oral fixation and moves toward the anal fixation. So oral fixation arises in the mouth when we were born, and we move toward the anals, towards our when we have to evacuate the food waste materials. The mind goes to the directions of at the rectum. So from mouth to the rectum, the travel of the process of fluidity of our life. Unresolved situations are contributory factors for becoming fixed, and there are many unresolved factors for our life. So for every one, we experience some or other type of the factors which greatly gives impact our life, and mind feels to be pressed. This pattern often gets involved with other situations which make one to fixation at a point. Fixation makes mind to struggle for solving the problem. Friends, it is a wonderful idea that the continued pattern of fixation becomes the way life and get associated with our personality. What happens if you are continuously in a habit of getting fixed, it impacts your personality. Your personality gets accordingly to the things that you are where you are fixed. So fixation represents the static state of personality which is visible to others. And patient may not be aware. This is the unconscious and subconscious nature of the area where patients do not recognize themselves what is happening to him. And ups and downs represents nature of healthy life dynamic. Stability in flow of energy play a dynamic role to maintain healthy state. A fixation is persistently focused on the id layer. You see the id ego, the aspect of the psychological aspect at the earliest psychosexual development. These fixations occur when an issue or conflict of a psychosexual stage remains unresolved, leaving the individual focused on this stage and unable to move on to the next stage. Because its mind cannot move around until and unless the problem is solved. One becomes static. For example, individuals with oral fixations may have the problem with drinking, smoking, eating, or the nail biting. These are the examples. So nail biting, it exhibits the mind getting involved at some point. When you are smoking, you develop a habit of smoking. There the mind is also in the thinking process. And the drinking alcohol and eating, the getting bulimia or anorexia nervosa. Friends, these are the fixations. Oral, post-feeding deprivations in the early weaning. Oral fixation, forceful feeding. Mother tries to make the child eat more and more. You will become weak. And what happens? The oral activities get changed. Dependency on the mother. Well, until the mother will feed, I will not eat, or I become aggressive. Then it comes to the anal, toilet training. Earlier, what was happening? We are toileting here and there, involuntarily in your underclothes. And now the mother starts giving the training, toilet. No, in the morning you have to go to the toilet. In the evening you have to go to the toilet. And then you have to sit there, too lax. So now the mind is getting obsessiveness, meanness, and unbinding generosity. And not finally the phallic, abnormal family setup. Now we are the final leading to the unusual relationship with the mother, father, among the spouses, and this brings to the vanity, self-obsession, sexual anxiety, inadequacy, and inferiority and envy. Friends, development of the fixation. Now, according to the psychoanalyst Sigmund Freud, you might have heard, the father of the psychology, through a series of psychosexual stages during which its libidinal energy becomes focused on different area of the body. During the anal stage, for example, a child supposedly gains a sense of satisfaction accomplishment by controlling her bladder and bowel movement. Now he don't want to go to the stool. Why? He tries to, and he learns holding the stool, and he develops the constipation. So Freud believed that personality developed through a series of childhood stages, which pleasure-seeking energy of it becomes focused on certain egogenous area. An egogenous zone is characterized as an area of the body that is particularly sensitive to the stimulation. All our part of the body is not sensitive, but for everyone we have the area where we become sensitive when it gets stimulated. And this aspect of understanding makes you the difference of the symptoms and the individuality within the patient. Concept of fixation is a failure of development in which the individual seeks particular kind of gratification, even after he or she has passed through the stage in which that kind of pleasure is normally. Every child goes to the school, but There are some child who goes to the school but want a special attention, draws attention, and some child they don't want to go to the school, and this is the fixation, failure of the development. And if the need for pleasure at any stage is either under gratified or over gratified, an individual may become fixed at that stage of the development. Friends, psychoanalytical study theory suggests that personality is mostly established by the age of 5. By the age of the 5, your personality is already decided, and early experiences play a large role in personality development and continue of influence behavior later in life. Each stage of the development is marked by conflict that can help build growth or stifle development, depending upon how they are resolved. If these psychosexual stages are completed successfully, a healthy personality is the result. If certain issues are not resolved at the appropriate stage, fixation can occur. A fixation is a persistent focus on the earlier psychosexual stage until the conflict is resolved. The individual will remain stuck in this stage. A personality who is fixed at the oral stage, for example, may be over-dependent on others or may seek oral stimulation through smoking, drinking, or eating. Freud believed that development of a healthy adult personality was the result for successful completing each of the psychosexual stages. The adulthood, the childhood, the adolescence, and the old age. They are the junctional area, and when you pass from one junction to the another, and if it goes well, your psychosexual stages remain healthy. But anything happen during the psychosexual changes period, the problems arise. At each point in development, children faces a conflict. When a child is growing and he starts getting the mustache and the face and the hair on the unusual part of the different part of the body, he just becomes panic, or he may enjoy that he is now becoming adult. That must be resolved in order to move successfully on to the next stage. How this conflict is resolved play an important role in formation of adult personality. Failing to successfully complete a stage, Freud suggested would cause the person to remain essentially stuck. In other words, they would become fixed at a point in development. Resolving psychosexual conflicts require a considerable amount of libido energy. We require the internal energy. Freud believed that fixation could result if a particular stage left a dominant impression on an individual personality. Resolving the psychosexual conflict requires a considerable amount of the libido energy. If a great deal of this energy is expended at a particular point of development, the event of that stage may be ultimately leave a stronger impression of that individual personality. Just to tell you an example, a child overstimulated at the age of 15 with the sexual behavior mostly involved with the masturbations, and so he loses all libido energy or gets exhausted, and he feels the problem at the latter stage. It is not that masturbation is a bad habit. It is only a things that overindulgence in the masturbation makes the person losing the libido energy. This is just an example, and there are many other type of the examples you can get when you see the patient and analyze their lifestyle. So, driving force behind the behavior, psychosexual energy and the libido. These things are the driving force. If your libido is strong, if you are psychosexually you are strong, you are a strong person. If they are weak, they are the conflicting points for generating the unhealthy situations for the life. Psychosexual stages. Now starting with the ages, The oral stage, it ranges from the birth to the first year, and ergogenous zone, these are only generalized things. Between birth and 1 year one, mouth is the most sensitive part, it's most erogenous part. And during the oral stage, the infant primarily growth source of interactions occurs through the mouth, so the rooting and sucking phases reflects it, especially the importance. The mouth is vital for eating, and the infant derives pleasure from oral stimulation through gratifying activities such as tasting and sucking. Now, with this tasting oral fixations, the problem may rise, and if it persists for the latter stage, lot of the things happen. Lot of the new personality you can observe among the patients by seeking for to satisfy the oral stimulation. Then, because of the infant is entirely dependent of the caretaker, who is the person responsible for feeding the child also develops a sense of trust and comfort through this oral stimulation. He is dependent, and he feels when mother put the spoon into his mouth. The primary conflict at this stage is weaning process. The child becomes less dependent upon caretakers. If fixation occurs at this stage, Freud believed the individual would have the issue with dependency or aggression. Oral fixation can result in problem of drinking, eating, smoking, or the nail biting. Trust versus mistrust. It is the trust versus mistrust. If you have the trust, your personality will go different way. If you have the mistrust, the personality will take the another direction. So learning to trust the world around us, we have to learn to trust around the world. Then at the anal stage, coming to the anal stage, and it ranges from 1 to the 3 years. And here the erogenous zone is bowel and bladder control. During the anal stage, Freud believed that the primary focus of the libido was on controlling the bladder and bowel movement. The major conflict at this stage is toilet training. The child has to learn to control their bodily needs. Developing the control leads to a sense of accomplishment and independence. When you learn something, you get the confidence. And when you have learned that controlling the body, yeah, I can control my urine, I can control my stool. These are the things that brings you a type of the confidence. This is the beginning of the confidence. And according to the Freud, inappropriate parental response can result in negative outcome. If parent takes an approach that is too lenient, Freud suggests that an anal expulsive personality could develop in which the individual has messy, wasteful, or destructive personality like that of the irritative bowel syndrome. If parents are too strict or begin to toilet training too early, Freud believed that the anal retentive personality develops in which the individual is stringent, orderly, rigid, and obsessive. So autonomy versus shame and doubt. The two areas. In one area, you move toward the autonomy, or in the other area, you move toward the shame and the doubts. Friends, now the anal stage, I think this is the repeat slide. Now we come to the phallic stage. This is the 3 to 6. And the main area is the genital. And then many changes goes on in the genital area after the 6. And Freud suggests that during the phallic stage, the primary focus of the libido is on the genitals. At this stage, the child also begins to discover the difference between male and female. The Freud also believed that boy begins to view their father as a rival from the mother's affection. The Oedipus complex describes these feelings of wanting to possess the mother and the desire to replace the father. However, the child also fears that he will be punished by the father for these feelings, a fear Freud termed castration anxiety. It is known as the castration anxiety, fear of the own parent. The term Electra complex has been used to describe similar set of feelings experienced by the young girl. So, Oedipus complex and the Electra complex. Electra complex is taken in the term of the female, and Oedipus complex is taken in the term of the male. So this rubric has not been included. Electra, I think it is not there, but Oedipus complex has been included in our synthesis report. However, I believe that girl instead is experience the penis as an enemy. So the child begins to identify with the same sex parent as a mean of vicariously possessing the other parent. For girl, however, Freud believed that penis envy was never fully resolved and that all women remain somewhat fixation at this stage. Psychologists such as Karen Horney disputed this theory, calling it both inaccurate and demeaning to women. Instead, Horney proposed that men experience feeling of inferiority complex because they cannot give birth to the child. This is just the opposite. The girl can produce a child, but the man cannot produce a child. A concept is referred as the envy. So envy and the penis envy. These are the two aspects that that we have to see. So it is initiative versus guilt. Initiative versus guilt, and developing a sense of purpose, the reason why we have to live, why we have to do, and what we have to do. The purpose is required. And then comes the latent period. Latent period. It is the zone from 6 to puberty, and the area is sexual feelings are inactive. At this stage, sexual feelings are almost inactive. And during this stage, the superego continue to develop while the id energy are suppressed. Children develop a social skill, value, and relationship with peers and adults outside the family. Now he is moving out, and now he gets the curiosity of meeting his friends, meeting the guys in the town, and seeing the different type of the people, and he gets lost into that world, and that is the latent period. Now the mind is diverted toward the society. This is important things that we have to understand. And then the latent period develops of the ego. I am better than them. I am weaker. So the introspection's value increases here, contribute to this period of calm. The stage begins around the time that children enter into the school and becoming more concerned with peer relationships, hobbies, and other interests. The latent period is the time of exploration in which the sexual energy repressed or dormant. This energy is still present, but it is sublimated into other areas such as intellectual pursuits and social interaction. And this stage is important in the development of social and communication skills and self-development, confidence. Then this stage, Freud believed that it was possible for a child to become fixed or stuck in this phase. Fixation at this stage can result in immaturity and inability to form fulfilling relationship as an adult. So the problem with the relationship comes. You see the divorce or the becoming more possessive of the partners. They are get set at this stage. So industry versus inferiority during the child's development. Now the genital stage. Now the genital stage is from puberty till your death, and maturing sexual interest. The onset of puberty causes the libido to become active once again. And during the final stage, the psychosexual development, the individual develops a strong sexual interest in opposite sex. And if it is not met, what happens? Here arises the sexual interest in the same sex. This stage begins during puberty, but lasts throughout the rest of the person's life. One can be homosexual, one can be the heterosexual. It depends on the age of the genital stage, beginning of the puberty stage. Where in early stages, the focus was solely on individual needs, interest in the welfare or other, grows during this stage. The goal of this stage is to establish a balance between the various areas of the life. If the other part stage have been completed successfully, the individual should now be well balanced, warm and caring type of the person. Unlikely, the many of the earlier stage of development, I believe that the ego and superego were fully formed and functioning at this point. Younger children are ruled by the id, which demands immediate satisfaction of the most basic needs in the want. So, teens in the genital stage of development are able to balance their most basic urge against the need to confirm the demand of reality and social law. How testing of a different identity is a part of the teenage development. So now we have the summary of this: oral, mouth, sucking, swallowing; anal, the anus, withholding or expelling and feces; phallic, the penis or the clitoris leading to the masturbation; latent, little or no sexual motivation; and genital, the regeneration of the sexual interest, the penis and or the vagina sexual intercourse. So these are the stages: sucking. This is the urine and erosion. What is there? And then come the libido, and then genital is puberty to death, maturity, sexual interest. Criticism of the psychosexual stages. Freud's theory is still considered controversial today. The theory is focused almost entirely on the male development with little mention of the female psychosexual development. His theory are difficult to test scientifically. Concepts such as libido are impossible to measure and therefore cannot be tested. The research that has been conducted tends to discredit Freud's theory. Future predictions are too vague. How can we know that a current behavior was caused by specifically by a childhood experience? The length of the time between the cause and effect is too long to assume that there are a relationship between the two variables. During all the stages, the cause and effect cannot be established properly, and this is many a time difficult for us also while we are taking the case history. Then Freud theory is based upon the case studies and not empirical research. Also, Freud based his theory on the recollection of an adult patient, not on actual observations and study of the children. Homosexuality and Freud theory is another criticism of the psychosexual stage, is that the theory focuses primarily on the heterosexual individual. And the two stages, the homosexuality and the heterosexuality, are the normal setup for the developmental stage of the psychosexual stage. Largely ignores homosexual development. How the homosexual, still it is controversial. So exactly did Freud explain the development of the sexual preference. Freud theory suggests that heterosexual preference represents the normal outcome of development and suggests that homosexual preference represents deprivation, deviations of this class. It is not true, it may be true, it may not be true. It is a controversial point for understand for many of the persons. Then, unlike many thinkers of his time, Freud was unconvinced that homosexuality represents a pathology. Many people feel that the homosexuality is a pathology, but there are also attempts to feel that the homosexuality is a normal. It is not harmful. Many feel that it is harmful. Many feel that no, it is not. It is a normal way. And you just go through the letter of 1935, where mother who written him to ask the treat her homosexual son. Freud wrote that while he believes homosexuality was not advantageous, it was certainly not a vice or something to be esteemed. Now he says, see the controversial statement of the Freud. He said, no, it is not not an advantage. It cannot be classified as an illness. We consider it to be the variable of sexual functions produced by a certain arrest of sexual development. So, Freud theory implied that homosexuality was deviations of normal psychosexual development. Many contemporary psychologists believe that sexual orientation is largely influenced by the biological factor. Now, we have to see the effect of the fixation in the oral stage of the person. The child has issues during the weaning process, they might develop an oral fixation. Freud stated that if someone couldn't get to an oral stage with the resolution, they may become fixated in the oral stage. The fixation will cause them to continue to seek oral pleasure, such as biting their nails, chewing their gums, or drinking excessively. Once they can resolve this stage, they can move to the next stage. Because of infant is entirely dependent upon the child, also develops a sense of trust and comfort through this oral stimulation. Now let's see the rubrics related to our oral stage effects. Biting nails, it is very common at the childhood, but unusual age is the adult. Smoking is the adolescence age, and it is very uncommon at the childhood stage. Gums chewing, that biting his lips or chewing like this type of rubrics are there. So childhood and adult. Bulimia, desire to have more in eating. It is mostly in the childhood stage it may develop, and it is very unusual at the adult or the old. And thumb sucking, childhood, and it is very unusual for the adult. The absorbed mind, the childhood is the common age, and for the old age it is unusual. So, while selecting the rubrics, we have to see the age at which this stage, this area, oral craving, then oral sexual practice, oral sadist personality, sarcastics, oral sensitivity, and craving different tastes, salty, sweet, bitter, sour, etc. It starts at the early stage, but it is very unusual at the adult age. Capriciousness, what to do and what not to do, is a common at age in the early stage, like of the chamomilla and other medicines. It is not so much visible in the adult stage. Then another stage of fixation, it is the period to severe awkwardness in later life. This may lead to excessive cleanliness, pedantry, obstinacy, petulance, and miserliness. All these behaviors are indication of some kind of reaction formation due to excessive fixation in the anal stage. A reaction formation against retention may occur due to guilt feeling. The person will have compulsive feeling to give away his possession, money, belongings, etc., or he may lose them in making several unsuccessful investments or engaged in gambling. Such people are also get mental satisfaction in spending the money liberally. So strict toilet training in anal stage may bring about reaction formation, uncontrolled expulsiveness in the form of meticulous nearness, fastidiousness, compulsive orderliness, disgust, fear of dirt, strict budgeting of time, money, and other over-controlled behavior. All these effects you can think related to the anal fixation. And constipation is a common defense reaction against elimination. In later life, he may be motivated to please others, charity, generosity, philanthropy. Why we give that? Why become sympathy? Why we give the generous to the beggars? Only to feel that I will be recognized. Giving presents maybe an outcome of this basic experience. So excessive fixation in the anal stage also leads people to develop the tendency to be teacher, opera singer, or actor who usually demonstrate activity and narcissistic tendency. Gradually, the anal period passes and gives rise to the phallic period. So now the common rubrics that you can see in your repertory, cleanliness, and you see the age, common and unusual age, cleanliness, obstinacy, petulance, miser behavior, anxiety, guilt, conscience of, and the generalized rubric which has been added recently is the anal fixation. Many people are confused that it is related to the rectum, but anal fixation is the area, is the origin of the fixation arising at the anal region. Then extravagance, benevolence, gambling, exhibiting, narcissistic and unsuccessful efforts. All these rubrics are related to the anal stage of the text. Then fastidiousness, obsessive compulsive, anxiety, time, avarice, ear darts, control, they are the exhibit of the anal stage effects. Now, phallic stage of the person, the home environment and attitude of the parents shapes the personality pattern of the child in the phallic stage. Normal parents are able to train the child with appropriate behavior pattern which distinguishes between the masculine behavior as aspiration or the pre-oppidal boy and the feminine behavior as the pre-oppidal girl. Parents having emotionally immature and pathological personality and strict superego are incapable of showing normal and sublimated parental affection to the child. Consequently, his sex life in the latter stage is imbalanced. If the transaction between child and parents during the pre-oedipal stage have been good, they will not only help structure the oedipal situations but help resolve it with definite to the concern. Boys may develop an Oedipus complex and girls may develop the analogous issue known as Electra complex. Fixation psychologists suggest that the general mode of therapy is to replace invasive and unwelcome thoughts which heal their thoughts pattern. As a result, most of the treatment for fixation involves helping the individual identify unhealthy or unhelpful thoughts pattern. So what we have to make? We have to give the counseling to find out and tell make the person understand where they have fixed. The best thing to do for the children living with the oral fixation is to ask for the evaluation from occupational or speech therapist to rule out developmental delay as the cause and then seek a appropriate course of the treatment. For older children, teens and adults, fixation are most likely to be taken form of persistent thought. For adults, treatment focus on practicing exercise to help control the thoughts. So some of the transferring, these are the some transferring thoughts, transferring strategy. The mindfulness, the good element coming from the Buddha, is a process that guides to understand how mind and body is at the present. In the present, it is important to live. We can realize and experience the world only when we are mindfulness. This gradually trains individuals to be more aware of what they are feeling or thinking about. So meditations and thinking and living in the present is important aspect that is known as the mindfulness. Then learning to have the distraction. Mindfulness can take away long to practice, but distraction is an appropriate that individual can take without any additional help. Distractions means deviating the mind from one place to the another by some type of the soft type of that. Like a child who is continuously thinking about the failures in the examination. For them, you can make it. There's some good different type of the mental feeling which will add news, which will act as a distraction from the. So this distraction in the therapy is very important for the treatment of fixation. Well, what the idea is to take the mind away from the fixed then affirmations, confirming, and then exercise another. If the weather is nice, get outside and take a walk. So walking is another good important, and especially walking in the nature. Notice the birds chirping, the sound of the leaf dusting, the laughter of child playing, and the sun warming your body. They give you a very pleasant feeling about the present, and this will be contributing to develop the mindfulness in your life. Then count your blessings. Count your blessings. So it's bad feelings. No, whatever I get, it is the blessings I see, only because it's the God. He is very grateful to me. So being gratefulness is the important feelings that you can thankful and gratefulness are the positive approach development program. And phone a friend, like to be busy with the people nowadays during the lockdown period where no people were there. Let us we enjoy the nearness of the friends on the phone. And getting help, seeking help is another important factor. Asking again and again. They may feel that you may feel that they are getting troubled, but many a time they feel better when helping others. This is an important transferring strategy for the fixation. So the basic thing is that to transfer from divert the mind. Now, homeopathic approach towards fixation, Dr. Henneman, we have read in the film 9 of the Organon of Medicines, writes about the indwelling nature of the mind. What is the indwelling nature? The mind is indwelling in nature and lives at the place where it is required for solution of the problem. Where mind resides in the body? At the area, at the place where is the problem. That's why Dr. Henneman called it the indwelling mind. Indwelling means to dwell, to live on that particular point is equivalent to the getting fixed at a point of requirement. Fixation of mind is represented as indwelling region gifted mind of the Henneman. So this is important thoughts that we can get from the Henneman's idea. So mental symptoms are special importance in homeopathic prescribing. We all understand, and peculiar mental symptoms and special sensation are given primary importance in the homeopathic treatment. And as we know that disease originates in the vital molecular process, obviously mental and physical symptoms, whether subjective or objective, are the expression of this molecular errors. Mind, consciousness, feeling, emotion, understanding, thoughts, sensation, mental symptoms, etc. are the function of complex material system known as brain and nervous system. Homeopathy treats the patient as a whole in the mental and physical plane together, or symptom similarity. On symptoms similarity, mind is that it is not only the mental plane, it is not only the physical plane, it is mental plus physical plane in togetherness brings the similarity, and it has to be the prime consideration at every stage. When we think about the mental symptoms, we have to think about the contemporary physical symptoms also to make a complementary. The mind and body, they have to complement each other, and this has to be observed during your rubric selections also. How much your headache, the pain in head, is getting associated with the mind? How much the fever is getting associated with the mind? How much your pain is getting associated with the mind? These are the aspects which can help you to remove the fixation from the life. Homeopathy always gives more importance to the patient's subjective feelings and sensations, and for the better. Everyone has spoken about the subjective feelings, but there are the subjective feelings through the body language also, because their body language, they are unknown to the patient, yet they are exhibited and they are constituted to be the part of the mind and body together. So body languages are the symptoms which reflect both mind and body together. So this is very important aspect. Then unique characteristics The symptoms of mind will always be considered as peculiar characteristic symptoms of the individual or the body. This body language, your mental and physical combined, they constitute the individualization. Because you see the man becoming restless during the headache, man becoming irritated during the headache, mind becomes fearful during the headache. It is the individualization. Homeopathy tries to use intellectual image and select the remedy accordingly. The homeopathic prescription has the ability to liberate vital energy locked up in the body so that their self is experienced with a great sense of vitality, energy, and well-being. Friends, there are positive indications for fixation in mind chapter of the report. When you go into the mind chapter, try to analyze which symptoms is related to which area of the body. You can understand this is the learning way process of the repertory. In the new science, because now the repertory is not only the symptoms that is observed on the individual, repertory is also giving and taking the shape of the psychology understanding. We have to be ready to understand this stage of the changing evolution of the repertory. Rubrics observed and selection needs related to the stage of the fixation. And abnormal present are the position to the age-related matter. And family background upbringing plays important role in deciding about the selection of the rubrics. Selection of rubrics needs associating them with the situation. It is not what it is framed. Until and unless you find that how much it is related to the situation, associated with the situation, that makes you brings you the complete sense about the exactness of the rubric. So, one of the important quotations from Venugopala Gupta: we often confuse determinations with its evil twin, fixation. While determination is our ability to stand on our ground while pursuing our goal, fixation, on the other hand, is an unhealthy attachment to an ideal. Unhealthy attachment to the ideal. The idealism, it is an attachment, and this attachment is unhealthy for the life. So man is not made to be the idealistic person. We are made to be the practical person because we have been given both body and the mind to think and body to act. So this is the practical aspect of the mind to become a realistic man, not the ideal man. Then the giving of undue prominence to one fact brings another inexorably on the head of the student to avenge his neglect of guilt. So Thomas Hughes came out the good idea. Then when you give more emphasis on the one part, you get fixed at that point and they neglect the other. So friends, it is important to understand what to suggest to the patient and what to do for selection of the appropriate rubric. It is very important understanding that we can have. So in the last, we can conclude our understanding of human development perhaps is the most important and enduring contribution towards the idea that unconscious influence could have a powerful impact on the human behavior. And second point, events of early life play a critical role in the developmental process and can have lasting effects throughout the life. Fixation were important to Freudian and many Neo-Freudian theories. One major problem is that while early theories connected fixation to a specific childhood event, it is difficult or impossible to reach adult fixation, such as nail fighting, a specific degree conflict. So we have to be analytical. We have to, while accepting any of the views or thoughts, we have to be analytical with the situation, not with the personal ego. So, what consumes your mind controls your life. It is another important from a son. One tongue moves according to the fixation of his mind. Always think of Krishna. Then you can't help but speak of your beloved Lord. So with this understanding, I am very much thankful to you all for giving me a very patient listening and some, and it is will be more delighted to if you can implement and you can find some out and in your clinical practice of the homeopathy. Don't think too much. You will create a problem that wasn't even there in the first place. And with these thoughts, I conclude this lecture with thanks to you all for listening and giving me good patience for this. Thank you very much.
Hello. Hello.
Yes, just a moment.